Hello, Kate. Hi, everybody in Facebook land and also YouTube. We're here for the beautiful month of September, and we've dedicated it to the word nourish. So, what an amazing word to explore. How lucky are we, Kate?
We're always lucky, Deb. Lucky just by the mere virtue of waking up in the morning and being alive. That's luck. And the fortune of being on this beautiful planet, with all the nourishment provided to us is just such a gift, isn't it?
It sure is, Kate. And for me, the season of spring, I know on our beautiful south coast at the moment, today is not living up to the beautiful sunny days that we had a couple of days ago, but just that invitation of the sun coming back, being able to be outside again, and all that comes with spring. It truly is a sense of nourishing in all the senses, isn't it? To be able to feel the sun on your face and eat beautiful salads and connect with people again.
One of the things that I love to do in this little tiny town that I live in is go down the road to have a nourishing cup of coffee at 7 a.m. But the last few days, as I've walked down that street, every flower is in bloom. Like it's the natives and the non-natives. And somebody just down the road has a huge jasmine bush. And that is my essence of nourishment. It's when you go, and you feel like you've expanded and relaxed into it. That's what nourishment gives you, isn't it? So the olfactory nourishment that I'm getting at the moment is incredible. And adding to that, we spent maybe 2 hours yesterday with the beautiful Bernie McLeod, who runs Bootery Botanical Gardens and is going to be doing our bush tucker tours down here through SoulAdvisor. Anyway, he took us for a walk and a drive around the botanical gardens, and literally everything's in bloom. The pittosporum, all the little honeybees are buzzing everywhere, and the native boronia, and it was just exquisite. So yeah, nourish.
Nice. And for me, this month when I felt into nourish and we kicked off the month, I suppose it comes up many layers. Like initially, when you first say nourishment, you think of food, you think of hydration, you think about, just looking after your physical well-being, your mental well-being. But like all these words, when we start to explore them, they go down another layer and another layer, don't they? And nourishment can be such a variety of things, but it's also the simple things. So what you just said, that beautiful feeling of the sun and looking at the blooms opening up. It can be a warm hug. It could be a cup of tea with a friend, or a beautiful cup of coffee in the morning that just you really savor. It can be you're going to the markets and getting fresh bread, or something for lunch, or that nourishment of a smile to you, or to be given one, or to actually give to someone else. Like the whole nourishment of the soul, I think is so important too. And that to me is when we really embrace humanity and who we are and what we're about.
Absolutely. That one word that you used then, savor, it's about time, and it's about if we're continually future oriented and thinking we must do the next thing till we get to the next thing, and we don't have time to smell the roses, then it doesn't matter how much good stuff happens, does it? Because we're not savoring it and we're not absorbing it. So nourishment is two parts. One is having that experience, whether that be a beautiful play or a movie that you've seen, or whether it's a cuddle, or whether it's a walk in the woods, or whether it's a big bowl of lasagna, whatever it's going to be. But if you just wallop it down and you're not really noticing that you're actually doing it, then it doesn't nourish you. It's just like, it's a very sad state of affairs. But I think that a lot of us in this high pressured environment are often doing that, aren't we? We're just kind of having beautiful experiences, like really not, it's quite amazing the things that we have available at our fingertips, and yet we're not getting that nourishment from it.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the big COVID phase that we went through, there's lots of things that weren't positive. But the one thing that I think it got us to slow down, to really slow down. In some respects, not in a pleasant way because we're all locked up, but at the same time, you know, we got to spend time with ourselves, with our loved ones, with our family, and we as we started to come out, we really started to appreciate those things that perhaps we may not have appreciated, the small, you know, those small things, the being able to visit family and friends, to be able to go to the walks and things. It was just, you know, there was a moment in time there where we really did get to slow down. And I think that the trick now is how do we integrate that, because we can fall back into those old patterns of back on the treadmill. And the more we do that, the more we miss out on the small things, like what you said with the beautiful blooming of the flowers. You wouldn't see that if you're just walking from A to B to a meeting, and yet beauty is all around us.
It is simply a function of time. And, you know, my First Nations friends always talk about decolonization, but that doesn't just apply to people of color or people that have always been in Australia. It applies to all of us, because we're brought up to have to-do lists and timeframes and hierarchical kind of structures that we have to climb, and you know, all that kind of pressure to do the next thing and get bigger, better, bigger, better, bigger, better, which kind of takes away from that capacity or that focus that's required to just be super present and in a state of gratitude, I guess it is, Deb, because it's that feeling of that we come to. In Japanese yoga, we always talk about nourishment and absorption in the same breath. And it's a function of the earth element, which governs our stomach and our spleen. And both of those organs together take the food in, digest it, but then actually absorb it across the bloodstream and into us. So if that system isn't working of taking it in and then having the capacity to absorb, then we can be starving in the midst of plenty. And I guess I would probably say that is a synonym for what's going on right now for a lot of people. You know, like, we have music on Spotify or wherever at the push of a button. We've got every single possible social group that we could join online. We've got beautiful movies. We've got endless inspiration, bookshelves full of stuff, food at our fingertips. You know, just one quick trip to the supermarket, there it all is. And yet people are feeling depressed and lonely and disconnected and just like they're not getting what they need. It's you know, it's an interesting moment.
And what you just said there about it's the bringing in, but it's also then the absorption. To me, is actually it's all there and we're all going through it. But if we're just going through the motions, we're not present with what we're doing and it's savoring it, or integrating it, or absorbing it, or appreciating it. Then it just goes through the system and it's gone again. Do you know what I mean? So
what a waste.
It is, and that to me is what I feel when it comes to nourishment, true nourishment, is that when you allow it to really assimilate on the many layers. It's not just, as you said, the eating of the food, it's actually appreciating the smells, appreciating maybe eating it either on your own or with the friends and family around you, and actually the moment that food brings, acknowledging who got the food there in the first place, you know, where it came from, all those sort of things, and the beautiful things that we do get the opportunity to eat. Yeah, it's an interesting word.
It comes down even deeper than that. We could go on and on and on, couldn't we, with the deepness? But, you know, for me, besides gratitude, or maybe through gratitude, it implies respect, because, you know, as you say, that lettuce has given up its life for you. And as New Scientist has announced this week, surprise, shock, plants can think and feel. Of course they can. Of course, every single living creature can think and feel. So, you know, when something gives up its life for you, that's pretty amazing. And, you know, that giving of respect, like in Japanese yoga or in Japanese language, we say itadakimasu, which implies deep gratitude for that giving of the food, that then allows us to thrive, and implies that we then have a responsibility to pass on that energy in some form. So I think, you know, nourishment, if we really understand it and we really take that on, provides a framework that we can work with and feel into. It's part of that big word that's taken, the whole wellness industry, wellness sector by storm, mindfulness. Yeah.
Mm. I also feel like when I was feeling into it, Kate, it's a sense of purpose as well. Like true living within what the soul has come here to do. Nourishment to actually really be in alignment with what your soul is here on this planet. Like we've all come here for our own reasons, our unique gifts, our genius, our creativity, and having the ability to honor that and to own it and to live according to it. I think that in itself is also nourishing, because we're then honoring ourselves, and as we shared last night, and all our lineage that's brought us here, and the legacies that we actually are creating going forward. Like that is true nourishment as well, isn't it? Both for who we are, who's brought us here, and what will come afterwards.
Totally. And you don't need to be a high court judge or a head of the pop's doctor or a prime minister to understand that you're part of that rich lineage that's working to bring about the next phase, for the kids and everybody else that will be born into that. It's a really beautiful thing. And again, Deb, it comes down to that simplicity, like just stopping and going, wow. And I bet if anybody here did that right now and just took a moment to tune us out and look around the room that you find yourself in and out the window. For me, there's a beautiful currawong that's just landed over there. And just below the currawong, there's my most amazing little parsley plant that's giving it a real go and growing like this. And behind me, my flatmate's making the fire. And this cup of coffee is amazing. And I'd love you to do the same. What are you seeing that's incredible around you, Deb, right now?
To me, I've got this incredible viburnum bush that started off, I used to always call it like a little lettuce, and it's been 2.5 years now, and it's just flourishing. My entire window is this beautiful seasonal light green. But then as I come into my home, then I've got my playful gratitude sign, which is always my prompt, because I always like to start the day and throughout the day reminding myself I've got so much to be thankful for. Bits and pieces, like things that I've picked up along the way that I enjoy. As we all know, I'm a little Taurian, and so I enjoy beauty, and I have beauty all around me.
Yeah, and I think we talk about it continually. So the earth element, or stomach and spleen in Japanese yoga, is the way that we nurture that is by being present. And being present, nothing is really wrong, even if you're worried about the future and some sort of horrible thing has just happened in your past. If you're just really actually here without either of those two complex phenomena, the past and the future, taking place in your head, if you can just be present, then it's a beautiful, safe space to be in. And there's always beauty around you, because we live on the planet. So there's always beauty. Yeah. And that's really nourishment.
And I know that you're going to have a nourishing fire very soon, because I can hear Maka with the background putting the stuff together.
I was hoping you couldn't hear that because of my earplugs, but realistic life, right?
It is. And as we always said, it's a fireside chat. It's an informal chat amongst friends. So
thank you, Maka, for offering that atmosphere.
Thanks, Maka, for the atmosphere. Now, we've got our beautiful guide cards here, Kate. So is there anything that you wanted to share while I shuffle, or?
Yeah, look, I think this month is going to be really amazing. I'd love to share this beautiful book. We've got Jodie Vassallo coming on. I'm interviewing her. I don't know if anybody knows Jodie. She's one of our fantastic practitioners. Oh, I'm trying to position that. Beautiful Food by Jodie Vassallo.
Look at that. Healthy recipes to nourish yourself inside and out.
Yes, there's that word, nourish. And look at that incredible healthy recipe on the back. Yum! Anyway, Jodie does a beautiful job here of going through all the different doshas, the Indian way of looking at what kind of food you need personally and what you could draw upon by way of nourishment to really make things feel even better in your body. So she's going to come on and talk about her beliefs around nourishment and what she does and how she works. That'll be at lunchtime on the 14th, which is in a couple of weeks. But you'll see it here on Facebook. We'll be advertising that. Yeah.
Fantastic, Kate. Okay, so what do we have as message for this month for ourselves and to our viewers? Oh, we've had this card before.
Again, then we must need to hear it twice.
I never get it straight. It's the yin yang card.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So with yin yang, obviously we can talk about that because that concept sits a lot with the Japanese yoga. But for me, again, it's the calling of getting things back into balance. And, again, it feeds into the theme we had in nourishment, isn't it? Is that nothing is, I feel with yin yang, for me, there is no judgment. There's nothing right or wrong, but it's making sure that we don't have extreme of one or the other. It's actually, being in that space where there's always an element of the other, but it's also keeping that constant backwards and forwards and that balance of the feminine and the masculine. So, to me, that's true alignment when we're able to honor both. We're not doing so much, we're burning ourselves out, and we're not so, floaty that we're not grounded, but we're actually mindful of doing inspired action, listening to our intuition, listening to ourselves, being in that true alignment, to me, is nourishment. So what would you like to say around yin and yang, Kate?
I think it's the formation of yin and yang that you see there. It speaks to the rise and fall of all phenomena. So, it's the continual interaction of opposites, be that night, day, male, female, rough, smooth, all of the different dualities that we have. They're constantly interacting to bring about all the phenomena that we experience, or all the things that we experience as a human on this planet, but always coming back to center again. So they rise and they fall, and they rise and they fall. And so getting caught up in the rise or the fall is something that's not great. Yes, of course, it would be a very boring life if we did nothing, right? And if everything stayed flat and was dull and grey. That's not what we're talking about. Things happen all the time. But knowing that you can come back and right yourself, so never, as you say, going way out that way or way down that way, so that you can't find your way back. So it's a matter of practicing, again, nourishment. You have to come into this moment and allow this moment to nourish you. And if you can continually swing back to being present to the moment and allowing whatever you've experienced to be digested and then be absorbed and then come back to center, then that's the essence of nourishment. If you start to lose that capacity to actually digest and absorb because you've swung too far out and you've lost your way, that's when the difficulty starts. So that's what that speaks to me about.
And I suppose, so, if someone's listening to this and maybe having some difficult times or challenging times, often when we're talking around getting balance and harmony, and if you're not in that space, it can be challenging to get there, because you're thinking, well, that's all well and good, but that's not what's happening in my life right now. But what I'm hearing is that if in that moment we just took that moment just to come back to the center and try and digest or absorb what is occurring. Oh my heavens, what's happening there, Kate? I keep looking at your face. Is everything okay?
Oh, sorry, my flatmate keeps asking me questions.
Oh, okay. So all I'm saying is that from that perspective, if things are occurring that are in some respects out of our control, what can we do for our center to make sure that it is nourished so it can maintain and sustain itself throughout that? So I suppose my message with the yang and yang is that, as you said, there's always going to be those ups and downs, and that is what life is about. But the center part of it, the core of who you are, if you keep that nourished, and it's not just the physical nourishment, but understanding what your what your values are, who you are, what life is about for you. If you can keep that center strong, then that can actually carry you through those waves as well.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for
Okay.
drawing that card.
So this month, what do we got for this month? Kate, seriously, what haven't we got for this month?
What haven't we got for this month?
There's so much going on this month. So,
well, I think just online, we've talked about Jodie on the 14th, but next week on the 8th, which is Are You OK Day, talking of bringing ourselves back into balance, we've got a beautiful panel lineup of Ginny Eagle and Lorraine Arnold and Joe Voigt speaking to us as very, very skilled and very, very experienced practitioners about what they do when things get a bit gnarly to bring themselves back into balance. And you'll see that also on the Facebook. We've advertised that this morning even, I think, there's an event that you can book in for. So that will be at 12:30 on, I believe it's Thursday, or is it Wednesday, the 8th?
The 8th of September, I think that could be a Thursday, Kate.
Thursday, yeah, next Thursday at lunchtime. So that's happening. And then, Deb, there's an awful lot of stuff happening offline as well, isn't there, this month?
There is so much happening offline this month. So obviously, we've now got our events page. So what we might do is we'll put that into the link for everyone as well, but including our online of what you've just touched on. We've got our Connect to Country with Jared Pajimpa that's happening on Yuan Country. That's going to happen on the 11th of September. We've got the amazing Oka and Waiapa, the Sweat of the Mother Oka, actually happening on the 18th of September. Our practitioners that came together last month are coming together again at Coolangatta on the 22nd of September. So that's our September components. And then at the same time, will be launching, I think on the 22nd of September, an online program that will have over a 3-week period circles around conscious creation. So that will actually, for anyone that's wanting to create something in their life and perhaps wanting that support of how to do that appropriately, but also the support of, a circle energy and a group energy to help create that. That's going to be held by Lauren, as one of our team members. So there's plenty in store for people for September to truly nourish themselves, be it online or over a 3-week period or physical events, and the posts and the content that we have in your sanctuary. So there's a lot happening.
What more could you ask for, Deb? Really, that's fantastic. And, I just want to remind everybody that simple is best. So just keep coming back into your center, keep stopping. It is remarkable how just even 30 seconds of breathing quietly and just noticing the smells, the sounds, and what you can see around you, and just the sensations, and letting that happen just brings you back. And it's simple, and we all need to do it all day.
And if all else fails, put the kettle on and have a cup of tea.
That too. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. It's been lovely to have a little chat with you. As always, Deb, once a month, and next month we'll talk again.
We'll talk again. I'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.
Bye.